how, or what we work on in Kundalini Yoga is we work on all aspects of the nervous system. So if we think about the nervous system really simply, just to start with, the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is that rest and digest. The sympathetic nervous system being that fight or flight. Okay, parasympathetic, you can think of that because it's the parachute coming, and we're coming down into that resting place. When we do a practice like Kundalini Yoga, what we're doing is we're not trying to just get better at the parasympathetic nervous system or strengthen the parasympathetic nervous system. We don't walk around life in our parasympathetic nervous system because things happen. So what we actually have to do is learn how to basically work well with both aspects of a nervous system. So therefore, what we do is we lean into the sympathetic nervous system, and then we come out and into the parasympathetic nervous system. So you do certain things and you'll feel this. It's like, it feels like you're being pushed to the edge of your limit. And you feel like, I can't do anymore, I can't do anymore. You'll feel those energies coming up in the Kundalini Yoga, in the Kundalini meditation. And then it'll stop, and the invitation is to come back to stillness. And at that point, you're invited to come back into that rest, slow the breath down, have an observation, and you move into the parasympathetic. So what we do is we literally are moving from one to the other. And in doing that, what we're doing is we're strengthening both our sympathetic response as well as our parasympathetic response, so that we actually have a much stronger nervous system. And it means that when we go out of the yoga class or out of the room and into real life and something happens to us, we have an opportunity to know what it is that our nervous system can take. We actually can feel the energy, notice it, but we might actually be able to still breathe as that's happening, because we're like, oh, I've experienced this before. Oh, I understand what's happening. I can actually decide whether I need to respond in that way or whether that is just perceived danger. And we do that by practicing it. That's what's so clever. So we're just practicing it. That's why you're holding your arms up so long, or doing these things that you just think, this is like, making my body shake, or making me go into these different states that I'm not used to. We do that so that we lean on the nervous system. And we want to do it in a way that strengthens it. So that's why sometimes, we just start gently, and there's a little leaning. And then as we get more experience, there's more. And then just as we think we're actually going to not be able to cope, we suddenly go, I did cope.
The more you can practice going through those states, the longer and the deeper that you can go into those meditations, the more your nervous system is going to become fortified to be able to be in that capacity. And when you're able to hold in the practice, your arms can be shaking, but you don't put them down. That's okay, because actually something miraculous happens at a point. They just stop shaking. There's been a big shift that happens, and it's a relationship between your nervous system and your mind, where the mind is having to learn to get out of the way, to come into this mastery over these systems. That is the point where you're actually able to hold more energy and higher frequencies of energy, and also higher frequencies of emotion. And when we can hold higher frequencies of emotion, where we're coming up to David Hawkins' scale of consciousness, the higher Hertz frequency, those are very potent, powerful healing frequencies, which we can only get when we've really worked on fortifying the caliber of the nervous system. But it means that you have the capacity to go into a state where you can recalibrate for yourself, because then you are a very powerful healer for someone that comes to you, because you can go very quickly out of a lizard running up your leg to being present and still and conscious and holding a high frequency of emotion and energy.